So I got the tires on the trail Jeep and moved it from there next to my other Jeep, which is muddy because I've taken it out about 5 or so times since December, and I just took it out like 2 weeks ago. Rear tire's flat, front tire's flat. Anyway, moved this back to the back yesterday, and I'm gonna start taking off the manifold and the exhaust, which I think I already see the exhaust is cracked, but I'm not worried about that right now. I went to ye old Harbor Freight, got me a pressure tester, and surprisingly, this for the universal twist type that aren't, you know, certain threads and special threads. It's got this type of twist type, and this one and this one. Those both go on and lock. Those are all the wrong size. So what they do is a universal piece right here, and then they got 3 different stoppers. I think that's the one that's supposed to work with it. I tightened it down once, and I couldn't really get it to seal. I could have messed with it and got it to seal. This smaller one right here, though, is small enough to fit between that hole in there, like actually fit in the hole and snug down. So I used that, put 9 bar in it, or 0.9 bar in it, and I went underneath. I'm not going to go crawl under there, but I went underneath it where it was leaking. I watched it for a minute, and I saw that you know where it was leaking from, the normal spot that it was usually leaking from, that I saw it leaking from anyway, right around somewhere in this vicinity. I you know, just watched it for a second. At first, it looked like it was possibly coming out of that freeze plug right there. You know, but you know, I wasn't going to trust that. Sat there, let it sit, and then I saw some drips coming around the top of the where the freeze plug is. So it's either head gasket, or it's possibly, I don't know if there's any freeze plugs on that side of the head. Heck, I don't know if the head even has freeze plugs. Though it's cast, so it's got to have some freeze plugs, I thought. So it could be coming out of freeze plug in the head. I doubt it. It's probably going to be a head gasket. Which, I mean, this thing's had a possible head gasket since I bought it a year ago. Previous owner said he thought the head gasket had gone bad on it. So anyway, I'm not really going to record step by step, but take the airbox out, take the linkage off. I'm going to have to disassemble and take off the power steering pump bracket and maybe the pump itself. Fuel rail, and I think that's everything. And then I can start actually taking the manifold off. After I take the manifold off, I can take the unbolt the manifold, the exhaust manifold. And I think I said that. I think I already found a crack on it right at the collector at the bottom. I see a spot where it looks like it's been leaking. That could possibly be my running issue. The fact that it thinks it's running lean, or yeah, and I don't know. It could be doing some weird stuff with that. I might take it off, clean it up, and weld it. But I don't know if I'm gonna want to try to take the bolts off the bottom of the collector. Anyway, yeah. Just like I said, I don't know how much I'm really going to record of this. I'm just trying to get this, get this back here on the concrete pad, so it somewhere it can stay for an extended period of time, and just start disassembling it and see what happens and see exactly where it's leaking. But I'm pretty sure it's a head gasket. If it's a head gasket, I'm probably not going to go ahead and pull the head right now. I'll probably wait. But then I'll pull the head. I guess I'll put a straight edge on it, see if it's warped. Which it probably is. It got really darn hot. So it could be warped, take it off. It's my buddy knows somebody who I think who can machine it and get it machined flat. The block, you shouldn't have any problems with the block. It's cast iron, but you know, I'll still put a straight edge on it, see if it's warped. And I'll go from there. So yeah, let me get started taking it apart. Alrighty, I'm back. It's been about an hour or so since I started. Disconnected all the wiring. This goes down on the side of the block to go to the O2 sensor, and it's bolted to the block with this, and that is actually right next to the motor mount right there. The bolt right there, that's where it was. Then just disconnect the fuel lines. Disconnect the fuel lines that are bolted to the intake manifold right here. Push that out of the way. Throttle cables, you just pop those off. The throttle cable's a ball and socket. Then there's the transmission cable right here that you just pull off. This is where the cruise control would be. That also pulls off. I never hooked my cruise control back up because the vacuum line's messed up. Unplug temperature sensor. Unplug all the injectors. Remove the fuel rail. The fuel rail is held in by a bolt here, here, and here. And that holds the fuel rail in. The bolt here, here, and actually these three bolts right here hold the throttle cable in. There, there, and there. The fuel rail's there, 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 and there. This one has a wiring harness bolted onto it for another, I think this is another O2 sensor. And then, you know, pull the bracket with the throttle cable and stuff off. I took my crankcase ventilation system out. Took my fan out. You know, there's the fuel rail. Both my crankcase vents are right there. Air box. Then I'm taking off the power steering accessory right here, right now. What I did, there's an adjuster bolt down here. You got to loosen that adjuster bolt, and then the actual bolt that adjusts it is right here down the side. They're both 1/2 inch. You have to loosen that one up, and then you take that, you know, you push it in to remove the belt, or you loosen it, and then this pivots. But in order for it to pivot, there's two bolts in the back. There's a bolt here, and then there's another bolt down there. They're usually in these slots. There's a slot here, and there's another slot down there. That's where the bolts are. You got to loosen those up also, and then this whole thing will move back and forth as you. That was probably all confusing, but there's two bolts in the back that are in slots. You got to loosen those bolts up. You got to loosen the bolt up down here. And then the actual slide bolt is over here. You loosen that up, and the whole thing will pivot in and out. You take the belt off, and then you remove these bolts all the way in order to get it to pivot out of the way. Because there's a bolt right here for this accessory bracket that bolts the manifold, and you have to move the pump out of the way. You can choose to unhook it, you know, take the pulley off, blah, 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 if you really want to. And actually, you don't have to do all, you don't have to do all that. There's a bolt here, here, and down here that actually hold the pump itself in. And then you might be able to get to that bolt in the back, but I found this easier. It's easier to get to these bolts than it is to get to those bolts right here. Yeah, one bolt I have back in, the other bolt I don't have back in yet, because I'm going to wait till I remove the accessory bracket. But, when you get the accessory bracket, there's a bolt here for the accessory bracket. There's some bolts here. There's a bolt there, and I think that is it. And you can take this whole assembly and move it over to the side. I think that covers about everything so far. Unhook all your vacuum lines, your booster. I think that's it. Now I'm kind of going fast. I'm not really showing a step by step, but you know, somebody could possibly follow if they don't know, you know, what to look for, possibly. Yeah, that's just where I'm at right now. And let me continue getting this off and see where I go from there. Alrighty, just thought I'd tell you which bolts hold this accessory bracket on. Like I said, there's one bolt back through here, right? That's right there. Probably not going to focus on it, but it's right back in there. It is this bolt right here. There's another bolt right here, a really long bolt. That bolt is right here. And to be honest, I don't know if this one's factory because it's so clean. But then again, it doesn't look like an aftermarket bolt because it's got the flange on it. So it's probably factory. That just lets you know how tight it was with seeing this whole engine bay. And if you get under this vehicle and look at this vehicle, see how muddy it is. Surprising no mud ever came between here, through the shaft, and then the, you know. Anyway, because I mean, you can look at, darn it, you can look at this one and you can see it's actually got some corrosion on it. But the bolt back in there, there's a bolt here. There's a bolt right here. It's a really short bolt, which is this one right here. And then this final bolt right here at the bottom. Those are all 9/16. That one, I think it is also a 9/16. No, yeah. No, that one was a 15. R was a 9/16. No, I think it was a 15. Whatever it was, 9/16 and 15 I took are the same. Whatever. But yeah, take that off and I should be able to move this whole thing over. Get the fuel lines on the other side. But should let me pull this whole accessory over, then I can start actually taking the bolts off for the exhaust manifold. Excuse me. Exhaust manifold. Took off the intake first. I think you should be able to take the intake off without taking the exhaust off. Take the intake off, and then I don't necessarily have to take the exhaust off. I can pretty much see everything I want to see. I can do another pressure test. So I'll be back. Success. That actually wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. I honestly thought I would struggle with this compared to, you know, what everybody says on the web. My green Jeep might be a little bit different because it's got the more rounded manifold. But then again, now that I'm thinking about it, that one might be easier because the manifold is rounded. But, honestly, all I used was an extension, a little short extension, and for the top, I just used a wobble so I could get down and use my impact to make them come out. Once you break them loose, you can pretty much spin them off by hand. The bottom bolts, if you want to know where they are, there's one here. So, by this exhaust pipe, there's one on each side of this exhaust pipe. And then there's one right here. And just like all these older Cherokees, I got a crack in my exhaust there. And I think this whole piece, this whole front piece is completely cracked. I think it's cracked all the way around. I think that might be why I'm having running issues. That could very well be why I'm having running issues. Ooh. I see where the leak is now. But is that an actual crack, or is that coming off the head, or coming out of the, is that a crack? That's definitely either a head gasket or a crack. It's coming up right below this manifold, so I'm going to have to take the manifold off. That's not going to be fun. But, oh yeah. It's leaking good. So, yep, not a freeze plug. I didn't plan on moving the exhaust, but I'm going to hook up the pressure tester and look at it, but it looks like it is coming from the head gasket. At this point, I hope it's coming from the head gasket. I don't think I'm going to remove the head right now, though. But that at least gives me an idea to buy a head gasket kit, and then I'll just take the head off. Actually, taking it apart shouldn't be too bad. I'm probably not going to take it apart now, but probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And then I'll just, you know, do all the little research and make sure I'm putting it together exactly, because this is the first time I'm going to be actually pulling the head and, you know, doing valves and stuff. But I don't think you really have any adjustment on these. I think to adjust them, you got to shim them. So it's not like the Chevys or whatever, where you bolt them down and, you know, you have to torque them and spin them, torque them, spin them, torque them, spin them. I don't think you have to do that on these. I don't think. You might, but I don't think, if I'm remembering right. But anyway, I'm going to hook up that tester and we'll see some more. Alright. Got the adapter piece right here. Inside the, like I said, I use the smallest adapter, even though that's not really the one you're supposed to use. You're supposed to use the one that's a little bit wider and you actually press it down. But this one fits exactly in that hole, so it actually works out for me. You put it on this little adapter, and then you click this on. Well, I don't want to take that off. It's under pressure. But this is just a quick disconnect. That's to let pressure off. Now, this is a 0.9 bar system. 0.9 bar is about 16 pounds. Or no, 14 pounds. But I only have it on half a bar, point half a bar. It's only half a bar, and is it all out again? Nope, still, it's not draining out as fast as it was, but right there, you see it right there, coming out, practically at the head gasket, I think, practically the head gasket. I think the head gasket is under that piece right there, but I'm gonna have to remove the exhaust manifold to confirm it. But yeah, this is a nice little tool, and I'm glad I have it, because I thought I was okay. I'm gonna have to run it, wait till it gets hot, and wait for it to leak. Because when you're just running it and driving it before it has any pressure, it's fine. It doesn't leak. But once you put pressure on it, it starts leaking. So I'm glad I bought this. I mean, it was $80, but I had 20% off. So and I'm gonna find more uses for it. It's not the only time I'm gonna have that happen. All right. Well, I don't know what to say. This is not what I expected to find. That is a crack / puncture in the block. So yeah, the intake and the block and the head. There's the head gasket right in there. There's the freeze plug. That's right above the freeze plug. That's the block. Yeah, that's the block. So my block's ruined. Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say other than I could clean it up really, really, really good. Get some cast iron welding rod, and get oxygen acetylene torch, heat it up, and try to weld it together. Or source another block out. To be honest, I have a block that I can get right now, but yeah, that's a really big surprise. I'm surprised it didn't blow the head gasket. I am shocked it didn't blow the head gasket. Yeah. Unless I had antifreeze in it though. I mean, all that's green. That's green that's coming out. So that, you know, it didn't freeze and crack like my buddy's block did. The only thing I can do is get a wire wheel, clean it up really, really well, and just see if it's a crack or if it's just a puncture or what. That's really surprising. I mean, I know there was a lot of pressure. There was enough pressure in the cooling system that it blew the upper radiator hose off. I think there's a crack in the tank, though I don't see any leaks up here, so I don't think there's a crack in the tank. That's just, I could have sworn it would have blown a head gasket. But, that is really surprising. Let me clean that up and look at it more. So I took the manifold off, or exhaust manifold off, because, yeah, 2 manifolds, that's nasty. There's the crack. Come on, focus. Goes from there, down, and back up to right there. I'd say that's 4 inches long or so. Yeah. So I'm either going to get a block that I have access to that is actually down the street. It's been in a barn. I've been covered under a barn for years. It's just a block though, no head. So it's probably gonna have to be gone through. Probably disassembled, honed at the very least, and then put it all back together, put my head on it. Or what I'm probably gonna try first, might make it worse, or I might fix it temporarily anyway. I might try my hand at cast welding. They have cast electrodes, cast sticks for the stick welder, and I think I'm going to try my hand at cast welding. I have to get my buddy's oxygen acetylene torch down here. Have to get a couple welding blankets. Nice, my light's dead. Get his oxygen acetylene torch down here, get his stick welder down here, buy me some cast rod, which is not cheap. I looked up cast rod when I got my Dana 44, because I thought the C's on the outside where the ball joints are, I thought that was cast iron, but it's actually cast steel. There's some pitting in it I'm going to weld up and make it a little bit thicker. So I'm going to try my hand at get some cast sticks, talk to somebody that I know who does welding for a living, and who could actually probably weld it up for me. Maybe, if I can get a hold of them. But I'm probably going to try that at first, try to see if I can weld it and see if that holds. I'll probably weld it. Obviously let it cool down slowly. Which is the only thing I'm going to do is heat it up with a torch, and then put welding blankets over it and just try to slow it down, and then let it sit. Do another pressure test, see if it holds. Let it sit for a day or two. Do another pressure test, see if it holds, and then put it all back together and see what happens. But I need to check the compression on it, on the motor itself, because, I still have that hiccuping and not hiccuping, but high RPM. It tries to cut out, it tries to lean out. Now, that could be my exhaust, could be my cracked exhaust, and the O2 sensor acting wonky because it's getting extra air. Because this header is cracked. This whole tube right here is cracked. I don't know exactly how much is leaking out. That's cracked right there. Or it could be my crankshaft position sensors, and about every other sensor on here I've replaced besides the crank position sensor. And there's a little temperature sensor back here at the top of the head that is specific to these older vehicles, or older 4.0s, and it was mainly used on the Rain-X, I think, but for some reason it's carried over to this one, and I've only found that sensor like once or twice, and it was hard as heck to find. I don't even know if I can find it again, but it was special order everywhere I looked. But yeah, that wraps it up for this. I got a Jeep that is now immobile. I thought it'd be a head gasket. I thought I'd be removing the head tonight, but it's a cracked block, so just leave it like this. I'll probably get a tarp put over that side. Just get a tarp just to keep stuff from getting in the head, or I'll get a whole bunch of paper towels and stick them in the side of the block. Get some stuff, stick them up in here. and just let it sit till I get a chance to figure it out. Probably put all this stuff in the back, and yeah, that's it for now. And that's it for the trail Jeep for a minute. Till I get either a new block in it, or I get that, either a whole used motor, get a block in it, or, weld up that crack. You can weld cast, and you can weld cast where it will hold, and you can weld it where it will hold under pressure too. You just got to do it the right way, using the right stuff. You can either, silicon bronze weld it if you're doing wire. You can use cast rod. You could braze it, though that's probably not going to help under pressure. Yeah, the only two options to weld it is either silicon bronze or cast weld, stick weld it. But yeah, that's it for now. Next video is probably going to be, I got something else for the cab lights of my Yukon. That should be next. I practically got everything to build the front end of the Sonoma now. I could have done that today, but I felt like doing this. So put my tools up, put tools up, put everything in the Jeep that needs to go in the Jeep, and yeah, I'll talk to y'all later.